There's a few Arabic, thank you for your invitations. It's my pleasure I can share what my experience for 5 weeks in Gaza in January. I myself is a general surgeon working in the hospital authority in the public service for almost over 35 years until my retirement in 2019. After my retirement, in fact, I take the kind of overseas missions as my second career. I start my first mission with International Committee of Red Cross in year 2002 in Lupton, Kenya, mainly looking after the victims from the South Sudan. And then in year 2004, I also joined the Medicine Sans Frontiers, the Doctors Without Borders, after the Southeast Asia tsunami. So since then, I almost work for both either organization, depending on the availability, almost around once a year. In fact, this mission in Gaza is my 25 missions for either the ICRC or for MSF. Out of these 25 missions, in fact, I worked 8 of them in the war zone, so that they declare as a war zone. The others, like the earthquake, like the tsunami, but this time, is this 8 mission is will declared as a war zone. In fact, the first time is in Gaza, in year 2014, in Gaza. This is my second time in Gaza. That time is also during the war. And others, like in Yemen, in Aden, in year 2015 and 16, and then in Iraq, in the liberation of the Mosul, and also in Ukraine in 2022, and then later in Yemen and in Adali, which is between the north and the south of Yemen. So this is my 8th time, but I'm really sorry to say that for the last mission in Gaza is one of the missions which really touched my heart quite a lot. And this is the emblem of the International Committee of Red Cross. In the Red Cross movement, we have 7 principles. I will not go into detail of each one, but I just highlight the 2, which is, especially for me as a surgeon, we have to work according to this principle, and it is very important for our work. One is the neutrality. So it's very simple that when we do our work, we will not take any side, okay? We are just political neutral. The other is impartiality. What means is that what our work and how we look after our patient is depending on the needs of the patients. No matter which country, which race, which gender, which age group, which religions, which culture, which language they are, we are work according to the need of the patients. So this is very important working principle for us. And the other thing I want to share is that under the international humanitarian law, which have been signed by more than 186 countries, that for our kinds of international or internal armed conflict, they need to respect these international humanitarian laws. And this Geneva Convention is one of these. They need to respect the emblem of the International Committee of Red Cross, because ICRC have the mandate under this law to look after all the victims caused by any international or internal armed conflict. For example, like the patients, like the weapon wounded or other civilians which are affected by the war. Like in Gaza, they don't have any food, they don't have any water. ICRC will have this mandate to look after them, including to visit of the detainees, the prisoners, exchange of the detainees, all this. The only organization which can do this is ICRC under this international humanitarian law. And as I just mentioned, that the ICRC emblem has the protective and indicative purpose. So with the emblem indicating that ICRC team is there and looking after the victims, they should be respected and protected. About this Israeli-Gaza conflict, I don't need to go into detail. I think most of you know it started on the 7th of October. In fact, on that day, I was working with Medicine Sans Frontières in South Sudan. Once we heard about these tragic events, we know that the coming few months or 6 months or even a year will be a major disaster is going to happen. And on that day, it's true that some Hamas militants went into south of Israel and with a lot of fighting, killing, and then more than 1,200 Israelis and foreign nationals were killed, including 36 children. And over 200 hostages was kidnapped into Gaza. And because of this, of course, this is a good reason Israeli side will have kind of military actions against Hamas and also people in Gaza. So they want to dismiss Hamas in Gaza and start with the airstrikes and also the bombing from the sea. And then later they send the ground troops into Gaza in late October. And one of the aim is to clear up Hamas, and they want the people living in Gaza from the north and the middle part to move down to the south, so that they would like to remove Hamas. So by the end of January this year, 2024, already over 80% of the population in Gaza have been forced down to the south. Do remember that there's 2.3 million people living in Gaza. So 80% is close to 1,800,000 people have been forced away from their home, have to go down to the south. And by the end of February, this figure is from the World Health Organization, the WHO. There are already more than 30,000 of people killed in Gaza. Most of them are vulnerable ones. They are the elderly, the children, and the women. And more than 70,000 wounded. So by now, it's more than this figure already, I'm sure. And by the time I arrived on 27 December, during the briefing, I was informed that there were 37 hospitals in Gaza, but only 9 were functioning by the end of December. And then by the time I left on 30 January, I know that it's only 7 was functioning. So you can imagine that almost 70% of the hospital were demolished or damaged, and the rest of the hospital have looked after the whole population, including a lot of wounded. International Committee of Red Cross have been working in Gaza for a long time, over 40 years already, and you know that there's a lot of conflict happening for all the years. So ICRC have been long-standing there. As I said, in 2014 I was there, but our headquarters is in Gaza City in the north. And now even our delegates have to move down together. Our headquarters have moved down to the south, and also our colleagues, the local colleagues, resident colleagues, they also have to go down with us. And in fact, what I know is that some of our colleagues is also affected during the war. Either they're killed, some of them are killed, and also a lot of injured. And then, because of this, as I said, ICRC have been working there for a long time, especially on the healthcare. We are supporting a number of hospitals with the equipment and so on. And also we have a lot of training for the local staff there. So because of this conflict, at the end of October, ICRC have already sent a surgical team, and we call this a mobile surgical team, to Gaza, including our chief surgeon, and also our regional operating surgeon and our regional operating theater nurses. So those are top one, okay? They were sent to Gaza to do the assessment, do the liaison, and then we are by the end of October, we already set up a service in the south of Gaza. That is the European Gaza Hospital. It is in the Rafah area. And we work with the local team. There's because of the COVID epidemic in the last few years, so besides the hospital main compound, outside they have a temporary wards, mainly is prepared for the COVID outbreak. So they give one of the ward to ICRC, and also they give one of the operating theater, which is for the cardiac surgery. In fact, this hospital is quite well equipped, and they are very high standard. They can do the open heart surgery in this hospital. So because of the conflict, so they stop a lot of elective activities, including the cardiac surgery. So ICRC have taken over one of the ward and also the operating theater. But this ward, although its design is for around 50 patients, 46, but we often look after 70, 80 patients at one time. So that means that most of the time 2 patients have to stay in one cubicle. And our team work more or less independently and very collaboratively with the local team. I'll talk with this in more detail later. And I myself is in the third team. As I said, the first team is our chief surgeon. The second team is our regional surgeon. And then I was in the third team. In fact, I was notified for this. As I said, when I know about this, the fighting in Israel is on 7th of October. I was in South Sudan. But when I finished my mission in the middle of October, after I returned to Hong Kong, I know that there will be a major disaster is coming. And I already raised up my hand to Hong Kong Red Cross, to International Committee of Red Cross, and also to Doctors Without Borders, that I will be available in the coming few months, before April. And then I was notified on 15 December. So my departure from Hong Kong is on 23. Before that, in fact, it is my first time in my 25 missions, I received the information leaflet from ICRC, clearly spelling out the situation in Gaza, including the security, including the health situation, including the food and energy supply, the communication with internet. This especially tell us that there's usual interruption of the communication, and then to inform your family, your friends, that no news is good news. Okay, don't worry about this. In fact, during my stay there, we have 8 days. We have a breakdown of the communication because the communication tower was bombed. So all this, I have to live with this, especially the living condition. We are, because of the situation, you can imagine, we had to live together in a corridor in the nursing school. So warning us about the piracy and so on and so on. So this is my first time that if you accept this, if you clear about what will happen, then you can accept this offer. So I go. And I'm a bit lucky because I depart from Hong Kong on 23. Our colleagues already had tried to get the permit, the entry permit for me from Egypt side, cross the Rafah crossing into Gaza. I'll show you later. One of my colleagues, she's a nurse from Hong Kong. She departed from Hong Kong on 1st December. Together with another 4 colleagues, so 5 of them have to wait in Cairo for 12 days. For 12 days before they can get the entry permit into Gaza. So it's very difficult at that time. So I arrived at Cairo, and then the next day we crossed the Sinai Peninsula. We had to wait in a town called Arish, close to the Rafah border before we crossed. Just give you an idea of what is this mobile surgical team means. That usually we are talking about a team of around 12 to 14, 15 people, including the hospital project manager, hospital administrator, surgeon, orthopedic surgeon, anesthetist, OT nurse, ward nurse, ER doctors, and physiotherapists. So the whole team we can work independently. And as I just said, we work very closely with the local team. First, because most of the fighting, the bombing, shooting, they are at the night time. So a lot of injured patients come in the night time, at the middle of the night. So, and also, because of the security reason, so it's difficult for our team to cross from the nursing school to the hospital. So we share the work. So in fact, the local team, as I mentioned, the manpower, they don't have too much problem because there's a lot of healthcare workers. They evacuate from the hospital in the north, so they come down to help. So they will have good manpower. So they will do all the, we call this acute hot cases during the night time. But our team will help to look after all these so-called subacute or chronic cases, especially those cases which need a lot of manpower, labor-intense work. For example, like the burn. People with 20-30% of the body burn, they need to change the dressing in the theatre every 2 or 3 days. And then finally, the wound cleanup, we need to do the skin graft from one side of the body to cover the wounded part. So all this, and also a lot of patients with a big wound with infection, and then we need to clean up the wound. So all this, and the other group of patients is those patients, they are transferred from the hospital in the north because they have to be evacuated. So we are working very closely with the local team. One of our working principles is that our team is not going to replace the local team. We just want to support them and to empower them. We are just filling the gap. So now I want to just mention a few observations, you can say, that for you to make the comment, okay? To keep the neutrality. I just objectively tell you what I have seen, okay? This is at the Rafah crossing. As I said, We need to stay in the town close to the Rafah crossing, which take around 30 minutes drive. So we have to stay overnight. But although I already noticed this in the media, but still it's a big surprise to me, because when I stayed in that town, I could see many trucks around the town, just parking there, all labeled with the relieving materials from all types of relieving humanitarian organizations. And then the next day, when we depart from reach the town to the Rafah crossing, we go to this highway. And then along the highway, my colleagues told me it's almost 10 kilometers. It's all on both sides of the highway, all packed with these trucks, all labeled with the relief material. So they have a lot of material waiting to enter. But unfortunately, we don't know why. We don't know who made the decision that all the material could not be entered. I think also from the media, you know, that because of the 2.3 million population inside, normally they need at least 500 to 600 trucks for all the material, including water, food, and so on, medicine, to enter. But every day it's only around 100. So, and also I was a bit shocked is when I arrived on 27 December, I had the briefing. During my briefing, I was told that Paul, ICRC, had 3 trucks of material, medicine, the consumables, the dressings, because we need a lot of dressing and so, and equipment. 3 trucks are waiting to enter, but we don't know when. So to remind us that yes, now we still have some material, but we have 3 trucks is waiting. We don't know when they will come. And also we don't know how many more patients will come in. So we need to use our material very cautiously, carefully. Unfortunately, by the time I left on 30th January, that means 5 weeks after I arrived, these 3 trucks were still outside Gaza. They're still waiting. And because I'm preparing for all this sharing, so by the end of February, I tried to ask my colleagues there. They told me these 3 trucks, after 2 months, they're still outside. But all this medicine and medical supplies, and it's all from the ICRC. But still, we cannot get it. I don't know why. And second is that, as I said, because ICRC have worked in this hospital, and this is the nursing quarter, the nursing school. So on the rooftop, we will put a large red with our emblem to identify our location. And this emblem have a protective purpose. And also so because of the protection, together with the medical staff, together with our patients, and also their families, their caretakers, and together with a lot of people, the refugees coming from the north, they will come to the hospital for the protection. So you can see that is the main hospital, and this is the sort of corridor between the nursing school and the hospital. We need to pass these corridors every day. You can see it is really like a refugee camp. People just very simple. They just erect some of the wooden bar, and then put a thing on, and then have a screen, and then the whole family will stay there. And this is inside the hospital. This is inside the hospital, along the corridors. You can see all this. Our operating theater is on the ground floor. The main theater is in the first floor. So sometimes we have to go up and down. Then even the staircase, you can see 3-4 families there. This is what I mentioned, because we have a protective role. So not just the patients and their families, a lot of refugees, including our staff, especially the resident staff, they will get their family. And it's true that a lot of our resident staff, our colleagues, they cannot go back to their home. Either they are in the north or they are in another place, because it's not safe for them to travel. So they will stay in the hospital together with their family. The other thing, ICRC, besides this emblem, what to protect us, we have a team. We have a team with we call this the protection team. They will have very close liaison with the confronting parties. We give our location, the GPS location, to both parties. Even, as I said, for us, our healthcare team, most of the time we stay in the hospital. But our colleagues, like we have a colleague, mainly for the water supply. So they have to travel around. They have to build up the water supply for the refugees, for the camps and so on. So they need to travel every day. So each day, our movement had to inform the parties. And I think all of us will understand that, especially for those paramedics, they need to go to the very front to get those people with injury to come to the hospital. So all the movement have to inform the parties. This is some picture of my work. This is so on the right upper corner. You can see this is a beautiful girl. In fact, she's a dentist in Gaza City, and also because of the war, they have to move down, and she came to the hospital to help us. And on the left lower part, this tall, young, very handsome gentleman, in fact, he is a plastic surgeon. He worked in a civil hospital, and also because of civil hospital have been evacuated, so he come down and then come to help us. This is some of my colleagues. As I mentioned, this is a young girl. She's a nurse from Hong Kong. She departed from Hong Kong on 1st of December, but it took her 12 days before entering into Gaza. And this side is that what I mentioned, that we stay in the corridor between the walls, so for better protection. In fact, it is a true incident that in the beginning, our surgeons slept in the classroom, and then one night there's a bomb, and the window, glass window broke, and luckily there's no one injured. So that's why we have to all stay in the corner. This is some pictures taken when I left on January. You can see these are the patients, these are families. They are always with of us smiling. They are always smiling. They are very grateful. They are very grateful to our work. I just show you a few of my patients. This is kind of quite typical of the patients I have been looking after for the last 5 weeks. This is a 68 years old woman with the house got bombed and then caught on fire. So almost more than 30% of her body surface got burnt. In fact, not just she herself, her 2 daughters also got burnt. They slept on the either side of her. Another tragic story. This 36 years old woman. The house was bombed and collapsed. Her husband died. But with the collapse, the rubbles hit on her back. So she hit the back, leave her have paraplegia. That means that she cannot feel and then cannot walk in the lower part of the body. Before coming to us, she stayed in the other hospital for 3 weeks. And because you can understand the situation there, so no one look after her and no one can turn her body. She came with a very big wound on the back. An 18 years old girl with the face injured by this the shrapnels after the bomb, so the material cut her face and cut her left side of the body. Unfortunately, she cut the face and injured her eye, and I have to take out her right eyeball. Another tragic story, this two brothers, 13 years old elder brother, 5 years old younger brother, their house was bombed, their parents died. And this 13 years old boy left with a 30% of the body got burned. And this 5 years old boy was caught in the falling rubbles. They could not move him out until they had to cut his right leg before getting out. And this is another 20-year-old man. You can see he's very handsome, very sporty, and very muscular. But he was injured with this sharp object cut into the abdomen and cut the bowel. He had operation in the other hospital in early November, and they have removed part of the bowel and then bring the bowel out. So that's why he cannot eat well and cannot have a good nutrition. He lost more than 20 kilograms. But the problem is because they had to evacuate in an emergency. So he carried low records, and he did not know what happened and what had been done. So because he had a very poor nutrition, so I have to take the high risk that I really what happened inside the abdomen, but I go in and then have to fix up the bowel for him. It's very lucky that the operation is very smooth and then he recovered quite well. So this is kind of patients I've seen. It's only 5 of them, but you can imagine there's 70,000 of them. Not mentioned about the reconstruction, rehabilitation for the city. You go after all these injured patients, they will take a very long time for the recovery and rehabilitation. I guess all of you will know about this. This is Palestine, and you can see the map there. Before 1948, Palestine is Palestine. A lot of Palestinians living there happily with their family. And this is the Gaza. This is the Gaza Strip I just mentioned. Okay, the longest distance is around 42 kilometers. The narrowest 5 kilometers. The widest is 12 kilometers. But it's all bound with this 5-meter cemented wall. And this picture was given by one of my colleagues. This is all this, you can see very beautiful city in Palestine before 1946. You can see it's very precious, very wealthy city. Even they have an airport, you have the railway station. It's very well. This is some picture of my working in 2014 in Gaza. This is the wall you can see. This is a 5-meter wall. And you can see here, it's very barren. And you can see this sort of tunnel within the wall, this is erected by this Israeli force. Inside, 1 kilometer is no man's zone. So no one and no houses, no people in there. This sort of tunnel is when the time I left Gaza in 2014, I had to do the sort of checking in the Palestinian side, and I had to carry my luggage and walk through this for 1 kilometer to the other side in Israel. And in 2014, I worked first in Gaza, in Shifa, and then later I moved down to Khan Yunis and working in this Al-Aqsa hospital, which now for the last 2 weeks you heard all about this. This hospital is also evacuated. And we set up a clinic which look after the refugees next to the hospital. There's a school. There's around 18,000 people there. So we look after the people there. And these 2 messages were written by this young gentleman. He's a nurse. He wrote to me when we first set up the clinic. She shared with me this. If helping the Palestinian people is the Palestinian, we will not terrorists. Palestine will be free and free Gaza. And then, by the time I left, he sent me this message in the Facebook. I want you to take note on this. We want people to live freely like other peoples. We are not terrorists, as they say. We are defending our land like others, to live without wars and massacres perpetrated on us. You saw people in Gaza Street, how much they are of great love, in spite of the devastation and the loss of their dear. It's feeling bad that you lost someone dear, but despite all this, we are trying to live with dignity. This is what he wrote to me when I left. So I feel what I can say, I very respect what the Palestinian people in Gaza feel. And lastly, I can share is that what strikes me most is this very remarkable resilience of the Palestinians in Gaza. How can they face such a difficulty in life years and years? And in the uncertain future, as I said, it's a very long time for the reconstruction and rehabilitation. And also lost their loved one, including a lot of my colleagues. They also lost their family members, their friends. But I believe it's because the faith in these people, the faith in Allah, and also I can see they are very strong, very close and warm interpersonal relationship, especially their family bonding, which help them to get over all these difficulties. It really gives me much inspiration. And may God, may Allah bless the Holy Land and bring peace to Palestine. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Au. Yes. Dr. Au, he explained that he spent, I think, 2 weeks?
5 weeks.
5 weeks in the School of Nursing. You live in School of Nursing in Palestine College of Nursing. That is, and he mentioned that during that time, once the war and the most cases arrived to emergency department at European Gaza Hospital, during that time, you didn't able to move because of the situation. Imagine how far the School of Nursing or where he stay far away from the main entrance or the main gate of the emergency department. It's 100 meters, not 100 kilometers, 100 meters. So if he opened the window of the school of nursing where he lived, he can see the gate of the emergency department. But because of the catastrophic situation, he cannot able to walk unless he get a permission. Otherwise, he need to spend his time inside the hospital. So imagine how, if I'm a parent of that who have 5 children, and my son or my daughter, during my time she was sick, how can I access or can move to the hospital for seeking treatment? So many of people in Gaza were dying because of not able to find the way, the safe way to cross the border. So this is one of the reasons that. And actually, he mentioned that he lived or he slept in between of the corridors. I know this college, School of Nursing, because I studied there and I worked 10 years in the emergency department as European Gaza Hospital. So he witnessed 2 wars, I think, 2014 and 2002, this war. But I witnessed 6 wars before. And it's difficult to imagine how the nurses and doctors work in such this catastrophic situation. Actually, if you want to estimate how is the nurses and doctor mental health, how's their, I'm sure all of them are mentally not well and they have a problem. That's why all of them are smokers and heavy smokers because of the war. We saw something no one can see before, even that in the war. I remember in 2014, at night, the head of department, he asked all of the staff to move to the emergency department because over than 100 patients just arrived in one time within a minute, and most of them were cut in 4 pieces. This is in 2014, which is a bit easier than this catastrophic war. So imagine the situation. That's it that I want to share. I want to say thank you so much for your kindness, for your support of the people in Gaza.
Yes, thank you very much. And as this gentleman just explained, because before the sharing, he already approached me, and he's a nurse. He worked in this European Gaza hospital before. And you're right, and also responding to the comment of this gentleman, it's true. If I still have the capacity, if I have the energy, it's possible, I will work if I can. Because in every missions, in every one of them, in my 25, I'm sure in the coming one, I will see the beauty of mankind in this kind of situations. For example, what this gentleman had mentioned, I have a lot of colleagues. They either have their family members or their friends were injured or their house is bombed, but they will keep their responsibility, their duty to stay in the hospital and to serve and to care for the other victims. So they show the beauty of the mankind. They just want, I'm sure it's not because they are paid. In fact, a lot of them, they without pay. They have no payment for a few months already, but they still keep in their position because they just want to help their own people. This is what drives me to continue my work, and this is number one. And the gentleman also remind me another very important is that do remember for the last 5 months in Gaza, 30 hospitals have demolished out of 37. Only 7 is still, and now it's even getting less. but they have to look after 2.3 million people. And second, we are talking about 70,000 people injured. But we still have a lot of 2.3 million. We have a lot of elderly people, they have their own illness, they have hypertension, they have diabetic, and we have children, they have fever, they have the diarrhea, they have asthmatic attack. So still we need a lot of health care. But unfortunately, this was handicapped because of the war, because of we don't. It's true, for the local people, what I know, it's very difficult for them to get the medicine. Like the hypertension, like the diabetic, a lot of people, they don't have the medicine because they cannot access this. So it's true. I hope this the war can stop as soon as possible, and then we really have to pray very hard. Hopefully, the peace will come, and then the people can regain their living, and then to go back to the normal life and activities. Thank you.
Doctor, you mentioned that the emblem which reads Geneva Committee International with a red cross on it, that's for protection. But that is very passive way of protection. You're simply hoping that the place where the emblem is put up will not be bombed. Apart from that emblem, which is for protection, can you tell us whether any more positive steps are taken to ensure the safety of doctors, nurses, volunteers, etc.?
So as I mentioned before, we have a team for the protection in Gaza. They're the team, not the nursing side or the doctors, okay, the healthcare team, which is this protection team. They have, first, number one, they will have, as I said, ICRC have been in Gaza for a long time already. So all the time, one very important role for them is to disseminate this called international humanitarian law, which will govern all the confronting parties. They need to respect this, and under the international society, if they violate the law, they suppose, okay, will be sued on this. So they, first, number one, they will disseminate all this knowledge and information to all the parties and the governments. And second, we have no, it's true, we have no authority to enforce this law. It is by the dissemination of this knowledge, and the concerning parties, the governments, have to respect on this. Second, as I mentioned, that they have very close liaison and also communication with all the confronting parties about our locations, about our work, our staff, and even of all our movement. They have, every time, before we go out, before any plan, we need to go through this protection, and then they will inform all the parties. After you give the green light, and then we can move. So this is kind of a measure we'll do. So for me, working for ICRC for so many years and many missions, even for in this so catastrophic situations, I can only say that I still will trust the ICRC, all these measures. But one thing to remind me is that the most important thing, and also I would say the most useful measure is our work. If our work can really help the people there, they will give a lot of protection to us, a lot of information to us. So that's the most important, is our work which really helping the people there. This is most important for us.
Hello, Doctor. I would like to ask a question. During your tenure there, have you ever been forced by any other forces from Israeli, you don't need to be stopped, or forced to you stop working for some days or some other things?
No. Only thing, as I said, for example, what I said, our colleagues, they have to wait for 12 days for getting the permit. For me, I already get the permit before I leave Hong Kong. But even though we got the permit, from Cairo to Rafah, the night before we stay in Marriage, we crossed 6 or 8 checkpoints in the Egyptian side. I remember when we crossed the Suez Canal, before we go through the tunnel, we had to stop for 1.5 hours for all the check. I don't know, it's all there. But this is only kind of hiccup I have. But I never have been faced or forced by any military force in my work. Especially I'm working in the hospital. So when I enter Rafah, going to the hospital, it takes around 5 minutes drive. So this time I only stay in the very deep south. So I don't know really what happened in the north. So frankly speaking, I never faced this kind of situation. It's only for me only.
I wanted to ask, because as you mentioned, more than 30 hospitals have been destroyed already. Others may be destroyed soon. We are seeing news about Al-Shifa Hospital recently. During your stay in Gaza Hospital, was it bombed or attacked by anyone? So it has been a safe site.
So far. I say so far, yes.
Thank you. That was my question.
I have the continuation to this question. So as you mentioned that 30 hospitals have been demolished and there are just 7 left and we don't know when these are going to be demolished. So is ICRC or other organizations building some temporary hospitals there? Do you have some knowledge about this? Or
Yes. Right. Yes. From the very beginning, I think in the late November, Norwegian Red Cross together with the German Red Cross, we have already ready for we call this rapid deploy hospital. Normally we are talking about 250 beds. It's all set up already. But so far still not getting any green light to set up this. We have, in fact, it's true, I have witnessed, in fact, one of my friends, there's already a few teams, they have stayed in Cairo for months already to prepare for this field hospital to go in and set up. But still, what I know is that they have a few options. One is set up in the Egyptian side, and then they let the refugees coming from Gaza to Egypt. But you know that Egyptian government do not allow this. And second is that the other side is next to our hospital. What I know is that Israel is a very good place, so that because this is a field hospital set up by the Red Cross, so we can work together with ICRC very closely, together with this operating theater, with X-ray machine, the laboratory, everything is ready. But what I know is that also deterred by the Israeli side. and they want them to set up in the so-called the green zone, the refugee camp, which is close to the sea. But this is the closest information I got is in February. It's almost 3 months already. 3 months have lapsed already. Everything is there. Everything is waiting. And even the personnel is also waiting. They are already asking for the doctors, the nurses to sign up already. Everything is ready, but we don't ask me why. I don't know why. But so far, 3 months already, but still no action. We don't have the green light.
It's okay, I can just ask from here. Then again, thank you very much for all the honorable work you've been doing. It's amazing and very heart touching to the heart. Us as Hong Kong Muslims, we have an emotional struggle where we can't do anything. So, from your perspective, what steps can we do to support the cause for peace?
I think it's true because I guess not just Hong Kong Muslim groups, and including a lot of Hong Kong people as well, and also healthcare professionals. At the time being, yes, it's difficult for us to enter into Gaza, except you are working with, for example, like this Committee of Red Cross or the Medicine Frontiers, so it's very difficult. But I guess that what you can do, number one, of course, you have to pray for the people, pray for the peace there, and then you have to really feel concerned about the people and also read up what's going on and then what's happening there. And of course, secondly, you can, besides praying, I think if you can afford, you can have some donation to the well-established and reputable organizations. You just remind me, and then in fact I bring some because just 2 days ago, I'm not joking. In fact, I count it already. Altogether I have 16 kind of sharings, and also not among the Muslim group. Just 2 days ago, I have a sharing with the donors from the Hong Kong Red Cross. So here is I just bring some of this pamphlet. You can share among yourself. This is it's talking about the international relief of Hong Kong Red Cross, and one of it is about the Gaza. So if possible, yes, we can do something.
Thank you very much.